everyone, I am back and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about COVID stuff. Unfortunately, it's still a really hot topic, and this is really because of the nature of the changes and the lifting of those restrictions, and really people not sure, do I go to work if I have COVID? Do I get paid sick pay? Am I allowed to tell people? Do I not tell people? So there's lots of questions and lots of uncertainty around what to do in the workplace when it comes to testing positive with COVID and becoming sick with COVID. So let's answer some of those questions for you now. So the first question is, do I have to come to work if I have tested positive from COVID, given that the rules now say you don't self-isolate? Well, depends. So it depends on if you're sick, if you have symptoms of COVID and you feel you're unwell, just like with any other illness, like if you had a cold, if you were unwell with a cold, you wouldn't go in. You could still have a cold and go to the workplace because you feel fit enough to work. So the same principles now apply. The whole idea of lifting the restrictions is that the normal principles around sickness, absence, and just general sick pay will apply to any sickness, including COVID. So what about if your employer asks you not to come in if you test positive? Well, if you just test positive and you're fit enough to work and your employer asks you not to come into the workplace, the reality is they are asking you not to come in and they should therefore pay you. You're not sick, so the sick pay provisions don't kick in. So your employer should be paying you in full if that is the case. Employers should be very careful about restricting people from attending the workplace in these circumstances without pay. One thing to note as well, if employers are asking you not to come into the workplace because of the fact that you've tested positive, they can't enforce sick leave. You can't force someone to be on sick leave in those circumstances. So it might come under health and safety. They might say, because of the risk assessments that we've done, we don't want you to come into the workplace. But again, like I said before, it has to be on pay rather than on no pay or sick pay. There's lots of people saying that they don't feel comfortable going into the office because they've tested positive for COVID, but equally they know they won't be paid. So they feel they have no option but to go to the office and potentially spread coronavirus around the office. Now, the reality is it's a similar situation now to, as I said before, to a cold. The fact is there are no legal restrictions on someone attending the workplace if they've tested positive, and lots of organisations are putting policies in place to counteract this. However, if an individual chooses not to attend work because they've tested positive for COVID, that is their choice, and they may then not receive any pay because they wouldn't be eligible for sick pay unless they say they're sick because of COVID. So there's obviously a huge difference between testing positive and being sick because of. And that's really important to understand as we go through the next few months, as people kind of transition into whatever this new normal looks like in their workplace. So my top tips would be, have a look at your policies and procedures. What is your employer saying you need to do if you test positive? Do you have to tell them? Do you not have to tell them? If you do test positive, do you have to come to work? Do you not? Does it amount to sick pay under their company rules? It will not amount to sick pay as statutory sick pay unless you are sick. So the reality is, unless your employer is saying, we will pay you over and above to not attend work, or we will pay you some sick pay to be at home because you've tested positive, then that is the only situation in which you would be paid. Over and above that, you're not going to be eligible for any statutory payments for being sick or testing positive for COVID. So hopefully that's answered some of the questions. We've got lots of questions about people feel really uncomfortable. So we're going to do a couple of videos on mental health, the impact of this on people's mental health, but it'd be really interesting to see what you guys think. Please share, like and subscribe as always. There'll be a new video coming out next week. I'm going to focus on vaccination status and can your employer force you to disclose your vaccination status, and can they tell you when you have to do that, and also that you will receive less benefits because of that vaccination status. Thank you so much for following and for watching, and see you soon. Bye.